Imagine losing everything. Your freedom. Your reputation. Your future. Most people would believe your story ends there. But for Joe Felz, prison wasn't the end. It was the beginning. In 2013, Joe walked into a federal prison cell. He left behind a wife, 2 kids, and a business. That collapsed the moment he was sentenced. No safety net. No second chances. Just years of concrete walls and hard questions. The hardest question came in solitary. Who am I without my title, my money, my name? Most men break right there. Joe chose different. He started reading everything he could get his hands on, then writing. Every day, one small act of building instead of breaking. That single decision changed everything. When Joe walked out, he didn't return to his old life. He built a new one, teaching ex-offenders how to launch businesses. His first student made more in a month than Joe ever did before prison. Joe's story proves the ceiling isn't where you think. It's built in your mind, and it can be smashed anywhere. Even behind bars. If you're ready to start your comeback, the video on your screen. If you enjoy powerful true stories of people who overcame impossible odds, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Joe Felz never planned to end up in a cell. Nobody does. One decision led to another, and before he knew it, the life he dreamed of was gone. The story you're about to hear isn't about the crime. It's about the moment everything shifted. The moment Joe realized the path he was on had no return. He grew up like most kids, with hopes and regular days. School felt meaningless. Friends became louder than his conscience. Then came the choice that sealed everything. No grand villain moment, just a teenager who wanted to belong. And belonging cost him everything he hadn't lost yet. Behind bars, Joe faced a brutal truth. He was only 21, but his life felt over. Inside that cage, something unexpected happened. He started writing. Letters became stories, stories became purpose. The same mind that once led him down a dark road began building a way out. His breakthrough came when he realized he wasn't defined by his worst day. He was defined by what he did next. Years later, Joe walks free, not just from prison, but from the version of himself that put him there. He spent years pointing fingers. Then one night in a cell, he realized the only hand that mattered was his own. This is the story of Joe, a man who found freedom long before he walked out those prison gates. It's about the one decision we all face sooner or later. The decision to stop blaming the world and start looking inward. Joe's wake-up call wasn't loud. It was quiet, in the middle of another sleepless night. He was replaying every excuse he'd ever made. Every person he'd blamed for his mess. Suddenly, it hit him like a brick. Blaming everyone else had cost him everything. And it had never fixed a single thing. That night, he chose to take full responsibility. Not for what happened to him, but for who he became next. No more rewrite of history. Just a simple, brutal truth. He could rot in bitterness, or he could rebuild himself from scratch. That shift in focus changed his entire reality. Every small choice, from how he spoke to how he spent his time, started pointing toward a new future. He stopped being a victim of his past. They hand you a bag. They tell you you're free. Then they hand you nothing else. 12 years inside, and the world outside has a list of rules you didn't get. Most employers see that record and hit delete. Landlords see it and raise the rent. Even your own family looks at you like a bomb that might go off. You start with a suitcase, a bus pass, and $100. That's it. That's the whole foundation. So what do you do when every door is built to stay shut? You stop looking for doors. You find the window. You wash dishes at a diner that's desperate enough to give you an apron. You sleep on a cousin's couch and wake up at 4 to prove you can show up. Every no becomes fuel. Every judgment becomes a reason to dig deeper. Nobody's handing out second chances. But those of us who worked out know one thing: you don't take chances. You take whatever's in front of you and turn it into more. That suitcase feeling. It doesn't last forever. You trade it for a key of your own. 10 years ago, Joe had nothing. No plan, no savings, just a broken dream and a pile of mistakes. Today, he owns 3 businesses and a small apartment complex. That same man. Different rules. The secret wasn't talent. It was rebuilding from zero, one boring decision at a time. But here's what nobody tells you about starting over. You think you need a big break. A lucky moment. Some sign from the universe. You don't. You need a system for the days when motivation vanishes. Joe started with one tiny habit. Writing down 3 things he'd do tomorrow, tonight. That was it. No grand vision yet. Just a sticky note and a pen. The hard part came when his first business failed. He lost everything again. Most people stop there. He treated it like data, not a death sentence. What changed? He stopped chasing money and started chasing skills. Skills are portable. Money evaporates. Skills compound. That's the real rebuild. Not the fresh start, but the honest one. The one where you look at your mess, name it, and say, this is what I'm working with. Years later, Joe became the person few could imagine. He had everything a person is supposed to work for. And that's exactly why he walked away. Most people spend their lives climbing a ladder that Joe decided was leaning against the wrong wall. This video is about what happened when he stopped climbing, and what he built instead. Joe was living what looked like the dream. A steady paycheck, a growing career, all the markers of making it. But the more he succeeded, the more he felt like he was shrinking. Something was off. The turning point came when he realized his success was funding a life he didn't even want to live. That's a scary thing to admit to yourself. It's even scarier to act on it. So he didn't just downsize his stuff. He and his partner Alex completely rethought what a good day looks like. For them, freedom became a daily practice, not a someday plan. They had to unlearn a lot. The constant shoots, the comparisons, the feeling that they were falling behind by choosing differently. Their new life required a new kind of courage every single morning.